Welcome to Inspired Learning, the Path of Exile podcast with Badger and Yoji. My name is Badger.
And I'm not Yoji.
What? Oh my... Uh,
I'm undercover today.
We've got a little bit of you're undercover. Okay.
Yeah, I'm a gangster. I can't reveal my true identity, so I'm definitely not Yoji today.
Okay, so we've got Badger, which is me. We've got definitely not Yoji.
Yes.
So I was not ready for this, actually. Definitely not Yoji, to have a podcast with a guest today. So,
Unprepared,
I assume, I assume being on this podcast, you're playing the Heist League. Is that correct?
That is indeed correct. Yes.
That is indeed correct. How has your Heist League been going?
It's going pretty mixed, to be honest. I'm enjoying it mostly. My starter build's been pretty good. I'm playing Fireball, which is pretty good. Just like the real Yoji is also playing Fireball right now.
Also, can I just interject? You look extremely like the real Yoji.
Which is really funny because that's actually a meme on my stream for like years.
Okay.
And I'm not the real Yoji. I'm actually Toji.
You're Toji.
Because people used to mistype Yoji as Toji.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the evil Yoji. So
okay.
But yeah, Heist has gone pretty well. I had like for the first day until they had the first hotfix patch, I had the issue that was disconnecting basically every heist, so I didn't really heist. And my plan was to heist like while leveling a lot and try all the mechanic and level really slow and take it slow this time, not try to level super fast. And then I couldn't, and so I leveled way faster than I thought. Got to maps really early again, which I was trying to take it slower this time, and but I was forced to playing efficiently. Which was sad.
Yeah.
I tried to be like super inefficient casual.
So sad when you have to play.
But then I was able to heist.
Yeah,
it's horrible. But yeah, now I can actually heist, and I've been heisting quite a lot, and it's been really fun. I actually enjoy it. I think there are quite a few issues that we'll probably get to talking about, but overall, I still somehow managed to enjoy the Heist League so far, even though Reddit is trying to like tell me it's not possible, as always.
There's a lot of that leaking into everywhere at the moment. Everywhere there's talking, and I've got my issues with Heist as well. I've really been enjoying Heist League as well. Like you say, there has been issues. Through just me wanting to get to maps and feeling like I really just enjoy actually being in maps on the first day. I did go fairly quick through, but I did quite a bit of heisting along the way. I'd say, well, maybe like 1 to 2 heists per act, which that's not much, but like to test out the mechanic. And yeah, quite a few of them I did crash on the first day. That wasn't great, but the mechanic itself felt and does feel really, really, really fun. And getting lots of loot, that's always good as well. It seems to be spewing out lots and lots of loot and really cool loot as well. Yeah.
And not in a like clear, fast loot explosion type of way. I'm not like a huge fan of the clear speed, like the Delirium League type stuff, where it's like kill stuff, everything explodes, and then like loot everywhere.
Yeah,
it's more at least in the beginning, you had to really work for your loot and like tax that's your strategy of how you want to go about it, and think a bit about, plan a bit ahead, and then in the end get rewarded with like loot chests and also with the Grand Heists with the specific loots. I really enjoy that in Grand Heists you get to select. You get to select loot from like different things. You can like pick your reward from a different preset of potential league specific loot items. I think that's a pretty cool thing. They kind of have this gallery and like, okay, which do I want? Which is like, I mean, and trade you probably like, which is worth the most, and like typing it into PoE trade while standing in the room. But I mostly go with like what I think could be good, or maybe what I think the people in the private league might need or want.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. What's the best piece of loot that you've found so far, you think?
That I actually got to keep, or that I just have seen?
Let's say that you've just seen.
Okay, so I found a day 1 5 link with a good implicit, like on my first Grand Heist. Picked it up, ran out of the room, crashed.
Oh, yep.
So I was like, yes, I got a 5 link, and then I didn't have a 5 link. That was a bit sad, a sad one.
Yeah,
I've seen quite a few really cool items. I have a quality convocation that gives minions 40% movement speed.
Ooh.
as the part
I
of the
must
buff.
have even missed that looking through the whole list of alternate quality. That's really nice.
I think it's Convocation. Yeah, I just sold that today to a Minion player for probably way too low, but I think it seems like a really good item.
Yeah.
And I got a replica Alpha's Howl that I actually got out, which gives +4 to Herald socketed Herald gems, which is I think a really good item to at least for getting started on any Herald build. I think if you're playing Agony or Purity, that's probably pretty good.
Yeah.
I also give some Chaos Res, I think, which is always nice to have. It's a decent one. Also reduced mana are reserved still, and I think you can't be hindered instead of frozen.
If I remember, that is correct. Yeah.
Which is definitely worse than cannot be frozen, but the rest is pretty good.
Yeah, I think that's a really, really cool helmet. Like, I was notified about that helmet on day one as well, and I have a bit of a history with my Sentinel of Purity build, which I didn't really build last league, but it's kind of what's brought a lot of my builds to popularity, so I might be reviving the Herald of Purity Necromancer at some point.
Yeah. It's definitely a fantastic entry level unique for those builds. But yeah, what have you seen? What have you maybe even managed to carry out of a heist?
Yeah. Okay, so the first thing like I've seen, which I was really excited about because I wanted to make a build around it. I I got up to the main vault door in a grand heist, and I saw through the door that it was it was just like right there, and it was the cold version of Archmage, and I was like, yes, really cool. But it was an engineering door, and they are notoriously glitchy at the moment, and it just glitched out, and I could see it. I could just see it right there, and I couldn't get through the door. It was heartbreaking. So I just did the walk of shame out of that grand heist, and
that hurts.
Yeah, it does hurt. Yeah,
those are like the worst moments of heist, I feel.
Yeah. Apart from that, like, I haven't actually got anything of note that I've carried out. Drops have been notoriously bad for me this league, which is,
what?
It happens. Yeah, like I really haven't found almost anything.
I actually have
quite interesting.
I actually have like quite a bit of good drops when it comes to non-heist specific drops. I didn't really get that many. I've seen like some interesting bases. Did you know that Inquisitor is a base now? Did you see that one?
Which one is that? I don't know.
There's a two-handed sword that has crits, ignore elemental resistance as an implicit.
Really?
So basically, Inquisitor is now a sword and replaced. Like, any Inquisitor must be like, I'm just sad now. I'm like worthless. I'm not even a class. I'm just an item now. I'm a sword.
I'm just an item. Yep. Yeah.
I mean, it's a two-handed sword, so you have to build around two-handed swords, but it's still, you can like Kong path with it. I actually have one of those, cool. I think I actually carried it out when every other piece was also pretty bad. There's some really cool loot that I've seen. There's like a scepter with an implicit that gives you secrets of suffering.
Oh, wow.
That's the Brittle, Scorch, and Sap keystone that you normally get, like one of the new Timeless keystones.
Yeah.
I know it's not even a Timeless one. It's a cluster keystone, right? Secrets of Suffering is not a timeless one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a scepter with that. It looks exactly from the art, exactly like the EO scepter.
Okay.
That's the same art.
Interesting. Yeah, okay.
That one.
That could be really cool. I've wanted to muck around with those elements at some point, but yeah, I haven't really got to it, so yeah.
These scepters are really cool. There's also one with Elemental Equilibrium, and with Elemental Overload was one of the spoiled ones. So you can actually, even if you're playing like, let's say, bottom right side Raider LD something, you can still get Elemental Equilibrium pretty easily.
That's pretty cool.
Sadly, on a scepter, if there was like on a bow, because LE Overload for Elemental Hit builds and Elemental Equilibrium for Elemental Hit builds, maybe on a quiver, maybe on something. But it's sadly it's only scepters. I mean, you can stay melee LE hit, I guess. But
I'm sure that was like a very specific design choice, putting it on scepters.
I mean, for most builds, it saves like 1 to 4 points, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was an interesting one.
Yeah.
So you've been playing Discharge, right?
Yes. Well, up until today, I've been playing Discharge. Yeah.
And before, like in the last podcast, I was wondering if the build will feel like a bit too awkward with the cooldown, and if it will have good enough clear. The damage probably was there, right? Like, what's your discharge experience?
Yeah, well, this is really weird because Getting into higher tier maps. So just for context, I kind of rushed through the mapping process because I really enjoy like going through it as quick as I can, and I got to a point with this build where I was severely undergeared for the levels of maps I was in. I was basically I'm now in T14 maps to T16, just about to spawn Cirrus, and I looked at my gear and I was like, oh no, it's still...
In terms of damage, in terms of squishiness, in terms of everything?
yeah, in terms of everything. And there's a few things there. But the clear is actually quite fine. The cooldown is quite fine as well if you use Second Wind, which is really, really nice. That actually solves pretty much all of the clunkiness.
Main link Second Wind?
You get 2 charges with Discharge.
Pretty sure that's illegal, though.
Yeah.
Main link Second Wind is not allowed.
Yeah, it's fairly illegal. Yeah. But I'm doing it anyway because I'm just that kind of guy, you know? But the big thing with Discharge, and this is specifically Lightning Discharge, is the damage rolls on Discharge. And it's notoriously bad with Lightning skills in general. They have a very low and a very high damage, which is kind of fine when you're spamming a skill like Arc or any other Lightning skill. You're usually spamming it or you're unleashing it or something like that. With Discharge, it's just one big hit. And if you roll a bad Discharge, it will do almost nothing to the boss.
You wait 2 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. You got to wait 2 seconds. And then, you roll another bad one. And so sometimes, bossing, I'd one-shot the bosses in like T14 maps. And then other times it would take me a minute to kill the boss because I kept getting bad rolls and it was like actually like that bad.
That sounds hilarious though. You just run up to a boss like...
Yeah.
No damage.
Pretty much. Well. Like, I get everything ready. I get my 9 power charges, I pop Val RF, I get my Wave of Conviction on, I get my Conductivity on. I'm like, right, press Discharge, and just nothing. Like, almost nothing happens. It just rolls super low. So Discharge itself is still, like, the base damage is crazy. I would just suggest probably, unless you've got crazy investment and have Badge of the Brotherhood to get cold damage as well, or convert to cold, I suggest just going like Ignite Discharge. I've had a lot of people telling me that works really, really well. Especially for clear. You get Ignite Proliferation in there as well. Like, it's super nice. Yeah, I kind of had to bench that character because it was just at such an impasse, especially with the little amount of currency I had to be able to purchase items to upgrade it. It would either be like a few days of grinding or just start a new character that can do the kind of content that I'm up to on a much smaller budget. So that's where I'm at with that. Like, it was heaps of fun up until that point. Then it started feeling pretty bad. Yeah.
All right.
But yeah, how's your Fireballer going?
So yeah, Flame Wall is delivering with the numbers that we've seen. I think we both suspected to be pretty good, and turns out it's pretty good. It carries like all the lack of gear that I had early. By now I have a 5-link Searing Touch, which is good enough for damage probably up to like tier 13, 14s. I do have a 6-link body armor, so I got a single target setup and a AoE setup, which currently the AoE setup is strangely doing more damage because I have the better colors on it. But that will change. I have 4-linked my Flame Wall, which actually improves the dot on it. So if you link it up, you maybe even later 5-link it with, like, let's say, Essence of Horror Helmet for 30% more ally damage. You can actually 5-link that and then add that on top of your Fireball, which is pretty good. Also, the global added gem levels for fire spells on Searing Touch is really good, of course, if you're like plus the Fireball and you plus the what's called the Flame Wall. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
My main complaint with Flame Wall is actually that it looks weird. In the teasers it looked way better.
Yeah, and now kind of weird.
I think there's maybe some kind of visual glitch with it, or they had to like tone it down for performance reasons or something. But in the teasers, it looked like super crisp. It had like this like line of fire that looks like a burning oil, like trail of oil, and now it's just like flames clipping through the ground, basically, which looks. I'm not a fan. It looks a bit janky.
It gives a lot of, like, I've been using it on my newer character, which is just like a Blazing Salvo miner, because I wanted to try out that skill. But cool. Yeah, it's a lot of screen clutter. Like, I've found, like, it creates a lot of screen clutter. I mean,
I'm prolifing fireballs everywhere, so I don't see anything anyways. Like, the corpses are all, like, pulsing, burning. I'm, like, GMP fireballing in all directions. The fireball, by the way, looks very crisp now. But, I can see, like, if you have otherwise very clear build. You just like put this huge flame wall.
Yeah,
that doesn't make it easier.
Yeah,
but it's strong. I'm currently trying to get a Stormfire because in the private league, Stormfires I think 3 dropped so far because it's a fairly high level. In normal trade, it's like 2 chaos, and in the private league, it's going for 1.5x currently. Because a lot of people are playing like Ignite Archmages stuff. I think Hex Blast is kind of popular with that as well. Although they don't need Stormfire. I think it's mainly Fireballs then, I guess. Whatever else, maybe Arc. But yeah, Stormfires apparently are currently expensive. So I'm waiting for the price to drop a little bit because once people get into higher maps, it will get way more common. It's not a rare item. It's just has a high drop level of like 80 plus.
Yeah. Being an Opal ring base, it's 80 plus. Yeah.
And you can't really chance it or anything, so because you don't find enough opals.
Yeah.
But I think overall it's going pretty good. And I think once I'm setting up for Archmage, I will be good enough for like tier 15, 16 maps without like too crazy mods, and then it's just like getting gear. Yeah.
Awesome. Seems like that's progressing quite smoothly. That's good.
Yep. I mean, it was a very risk-free starter.
Yeah,
last league I started like RF Mjolnir, so I was good for this time. I was good with like the memes. I was like, okay, let's start something that actually works. Something I can recommend to people to actually try my build. But like RF Mjolnir was always like, I think it was on Faded Connections, and Val was like, would you recommend this build to like people to start it with? And I was like, I'm not even sure if I can recommend this build for anyone like at all at this point. I'm like not sure if this will work. And it made like no league starting guide for it, like nothing, because I was like, I'm not even sure I can make it work. But with this one, I was like, this will be a stable starter, and it is, which is
totally
a nice change of pace.
Yeah, it's basically like a tried and true Ignite Fireball build with extra damage through Flame Wall, which is super nice. Yeah.
Then Archmage has been proven to work as well, so it should be fine.
Yes. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, talking about private league, how have you been enjoying the private league? We both played in the what's called the Ray Class Burglary Society that Ziggy and Taki put up.
Yes, it has been quite fun, and I do really enjoy private leagues just because of the smaller economy and everything like that. But that does bring me to a little bit of a muck up I made. As I was basically I've been a fair bit sick over the past few days, which doesn't help at league start, just with a throat infection, which is getting a lot better now. Feeling quite good now. But had a couple of days off stream, and then yesterday, as I was just like about to level a new character, I wanted to transfer my Discharge character to just the standard trade league, because I wanted to just leave him there and then migrate some currency over at some point just to be able to buy some gear at a cheaper price and just test him out with some more gear. So I was like, all right, so I'll just migrate that character and then keep playing in the private league. Accidentally clicked Migrate All, which, for those of you who don't know what happens in Path of Exile if you click Migrate All, there is a confirmation button, but of course I didn't read that, because I'm like, yeah, I know what it's saying, sure. It migrates your entire stash and everything, all your progression, all your heist progression, all of your heist blueprints, all your loot and everything like that, migrates it straight over to its parent league, which was Softcore Heist in this case. So, I'm now playing just on Softcore Heist. Which, has its ups and downs.
By the way.
Yeah, I know. I've just ditched everyone. Yeah, absolute shame. It's true. But before that point, it was... I was pretty much playing SSF. Like, I bought a couple of Storm Prisons just for their extra power charge on my Discharger very early, just for like a chaos each, because people were just selling them. That's how that all panned out, really. I played SSF pretty much from there on, and I like playing in a private league because I can treat it like SSF, and every now and then if I really need a piece of gear that I have the currency for, I can purchase it. But it takes the mental effort off me of like, I gotta make so much money because I'm in a trade league, I should be trading as much as I can, There's a lot of mental effort there of just like feeling the pressure of really taking the market, taking advantage of the market is what I should say. But yeah,
but you got the pressure back now, so
I know, right? Oh dear. Well, how's the private league going for you?
I actually feel kind of the same. I do kind of play SSF-ish a bit. It's a little bit like SSF, and early on it's like SSF, but you can guarantee some common uniques. Basically, you can pay someone to sell you common uniques, but you can never rely on getting rare uniques. For example, if you want a Cloak of Defiance right now, it's like not affordable because they're like 2 or 1 up for sale. In the way too many Exalts range. But then on the other hand, some other things are actually very cheap that might be otherwise expensive because no one is playing that. Like aura bot type gear, for example, every like aura related stuff that would normally be very expensive because pushing groups will want those items, are actually very cheap. So if you want to play something aura related, like maybe an aura stacking minion build, that works really well. So it's just a very different economy. And some items, like more rare items, for example, Isiri's Foible, for example, is like 2 exalts right now, and that's like 1 up for trade. If there are a lot of people playing the same builds, for example, if you're playing the same build as the streamers in the private league, if it's a streamer-related private league, it's going to be expensive, basically, is what I'm trying to say. And since I'm one of those streamers playing his build in this private league, I'm kind of struggling a bit. But it's fun, and I have played Fireball before in SSF, so that I'm not having no issues at all. I'm just like waiting for Stormfire to be more cheap, and then we'll get there. We get there. I actually enjoy slower progression. I don't really like the as you said, feeling like you have to keep up either with the market or the economy is moving so fast. Like I'm playing like during the week, I'm playing like 1 to 2 hours a day, maybe. Yeah. And every day, like the economy basically changes completely while I'm at work.
Yeah.
And then once I get home, I'm like, okay, what's the price on everything now? Okay, apparently this is now super expensive. Like what the replica, what's it called? Nebulous?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Where you can like do like shenanigans with like zero deep health delving.
Yeah.
Yeah. And every day something like this happens. I'm like, okay, I can either spend half an hour to read up on the economy or just play. I guess I can just play.
Yep.
So this kind of takes that away from me, which is nice.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's what I'm going to miss in the private league. Maybe I should just start again. No, I've already made too much progress anyway. But we're talking we're kind of dodging around the subject of the league itself, really. Like,
there's a league, right?
Yeah, there's a league mechanic, the Heist League, right? I know. And there's been a lot of, well, I guess I could say controversy around some things that have happened, but from different people. But I think the biggest thing to say right at the beginning, this league launch hasn't been that smooth. There's been a lot of bugs that have happened. There's been a lot of crashes, but we've both talked about enjoying the league mechanic itself. But it's more despite the issues and not because it's running smoothly, right? Yes, despite the issues, yeah. And I am still enjoying those mechanics in certain ways, although, well, actually, I want to put it to you before I start talking about this. How are you feeling about the latest update to the heist mechanic, which was, for those who might be a little bit late to that or don't follow along with the news, basically, they completely removed killing guards giving alert level. So you can kill as many guards as you want within a heist, and the alert isn't going to go up at all. The only things that go up, I think, are opening chests, and I think some monsters have like a big aura thing detection on them that pumps it up a bit if they do detect you. But that's only a very few amount. How do you feel about that?
So I think I found that very surprising. But to start out, I didn't like how it was before. I didn't like that if you like run through some enemies, you aggro some enemies, and then you were like in the situation, okay, I aggroed them, they will attack me, but I don't want to kill them because that means I get less loot. And getting less loot for killing enemies that already are aggroed seems a bit weird. It would have felt more natural if you aggro them, then that's the mistake you've made. But once they attack you, actually allowed to fight back. Not being allowed to fight back and like kind of feeling like you have to run away, that didn't feel right. But then how it is currently, and I've only played like 3 or 4 heists before the podcast because I just got home from work, and the patch just went live right before that. Now it feels really weird because the whole going in process is just like pick up all the stashes and kill all the enemies. Then there are very few enemies. It basically feels like Vaults of Aziri while you go in, and I think that's not good because I don't personally really hate that's my least favorite map in the game. I don't like Vaults of Aziri. I do it once per league for the completion and then sell it for 3C while it sells for 3C, and then I'm done with that thing.
May I say, it's like Vaults of Aziri, but you're getting 20 to 50 chaos per Vaults of Its Zero, or a lot of loot, right?
It's way better loot,
yeah.
It's way better loot, but it takes away all the tension and the management. And I actually like, even with like the kiting being annoying, I actually like that at least in the beginning, before you get good rogue gear, that you actually have to like see, okay, can I open like one more chest, or is that too much? Or even do something like, okay, I'll open this chest, it will trigger the alarm, then I will make a mad dash to the actual curio thing, then I grab that, and then I run out, and then I'll still get everything if I don't die. I like that, and that's not a thing anymore, because the alert meter is too bad. And I think the main issue, why I'm surprised, is that the early progression of the rogue gear was super bad.
Yes.
Like, you would find your rogue gear that you couldn't use, and that way you couldn't reduce the alert level early. And then a lot of people were like, I only can grab one chest. What is this? Because they didn't even know there was progression. Because the progression early was bugged. There was like two little drops. So I think currently it's not good. Before it was not good. But I think there's probably a good somewhere in there. And I hope we will find it.
Yeah.
How about you?
Yeah. That's very,
long
very
monologue.
Good. Yeah,
Thanks for listening to my TED Talk.
It was good. It was good. there was a lot in there. Yeah, I have some things that are quite similar to that, I guess. Like the loot for your NPCs and for your heist members being bugged. Like, for example, the whole leveling process, I got about 5 or 6 pieces of gear, which was fairly decent. All of them required level 5, or level 5 in any specific type of job during the leveling process. So I was like, all right, let's just put this in my stash, and that felt really bad. So yes, the progression wasn't there. And I felt there was something a little bit off pre this most recent patch about, it felt like you couldn't really play too stealthily unless you fully made a really cool character about that. And then I started kind of theory crafting. I actually want to make a really cool character that's like a lab farmer. So something that's very fast, uses smoke mine and phase rush and everything like that to actually avoid detection from the guards, to be able to get in, to be able to get out, and maybe even perhaps running the trap disarmament rooms only, because you can actually run through them and take a little bit of damage from the traps, but not actually, you can have some damage mitigation, actually get through them really fast. I was like, oh, that's really cool, And then now, with the updates to killing guards does nothing, you can just do that on a minion build. It's the exact same thing. You can have a fast running minion build that literally clears everything around you, and you can pick up all the chests and everything like that. Now, that's something to be said as well. Minion builds, it was a bit of a struggle pre this patch, because your minions would aggro everything. And I didn't play a minion build, you didn't play a minion build, so we don't have that knowledge there.
I do play a prolife build, which means if I kill one enemy and then 5 run into them, they all die. That was sometimes annoying.
That's very true as well.
We had that before, though, that some build archetypes or like specific skills work well with the league mechanic, like Essence Drain in Legion, for example. And we had other things where, like, Flicker Strike, for example, in Delve was notoriously a bit problematic if you just like take a wrong turn into the darkness. So minion builds not being a good thing in Heist makes sense thematically, at least, like lore-wise, taking a huge zombie army into like a sneaky stealth mission. It kind of makes sense that is not the best idea, but then of course, like, having league content too prohibitive to specific builds, I can see why you wouldn't want that. I can definitely see that there should maybe be a niche or window, at least for the popular ones. And minions are so popular that it's a bit risky. Like, if you say, okay, Flicker Strike is one skill, all the other melee skills are fine. All right, I get that. But minions in general is a very large archetype and was the most popular, or one of the most popular ones last league. So.
Yeah. And back on the topic of this newest update and everything like that, like, I was really enjoying pre-patch. Regardless, it had its issues. I think the alert was going up too much when you killed certain guards or anything like that. Like, it was difficult. It was kind of only 1 or 2 chests at times. But that is also because we didn't have, and a lot of people still don't have great, amazing gear on your heist members. That is there. That's literally there. A lot of it is designed to bring your heist alert level down. There's even specific mods still in the game with, like, reduced alert killing guards. That's
they-
still in the game, and now
Did they
killing guards
remove?
does nothing.
I know that my gear still has them. Did they remove it from the roll pool? That can you still just roll it as is?
I'm fairly certain you can still roll it. I don't know exactly, but I think you can
Okay.
still roll it on the roll pool. I felt that it was a very quick reactionary band-aid patch that was to maybe please the more vocal people of the community before people started leaving the league, because they were just frustrated with certain things about things, which did happen a little bit in Heist. Like they might have wanted to try and hinder that a little bit. But for me, and for a lot of people that I do talk to, it's just taken so much strategy out of thinking about these heists. For me, a heist needs to be thought about. That's something that if you're going to rob a bank, you're not just going to run in there and just grab at things everywhere that you can and just knock everyone down that you see. You have to think about these things. You have to plan them. It's a different topic thinking about whether an ARPG should have a mechanic like that in it. I get that discussion, but
I don't know. I think
yeah.
I think this whole discussion of hey, an ARPG should only have kill mobs to get loot. Not only limit the design space
Yes.
that you can explore way too much, in my opinion, to ever evolve the genre into something new. And I also think it limits you in the sense that you can attract players that maybe like a different gaming experience than just clear speed for loot. And you also, I think it's more harmful to the genre because of that. And also, there's room for different playing experiences.
Yes.
Once it goes core and it's not currently, this is like the new league. That's the new stuff everyone wants to try and feels like they should try. But once it's in the league, in the core game, if it goes core, it is one of those things like Labyrinth. Okay, Labyrinth, you have to run like 4 times per character. Okay, but after that you can ignore it. Blighted Maps. A lot of people don't like Blighted Maps, but they are rewarding. So if you like them, you get rewarded. You can run them. And Heist can be a similar thing. Like if you don't want to run maps all the time, you can delve. You can try to engage with other side content such as Labyrinth. You can farm Blighted maps, which feel very different from normal maps. And I think there is a room for having something such as Heist, where you have to have more planning, where you can take a break from clear speed. At least in my opinion, because I sometimes do need a break from like just zooming maps.
Oh, totally.
And if you like to zoom maps, just zoom maps, man.
That's
is not
the thing
stopping
as
you
well.
from zooming maps.
Yeah. I don't want to be that voice that's just like, if you want to, if you want to clear loot and clear loot, if you want to clear maps or clear content really fast and get crazy loot, like Delirium's on the map device, like it's right there for you. Heist is a new, interesting mechanic that I want to be able to, have that slower gameplay with. I really like that, and I think a lot of the community also does really like that. Safe to say, I'm fairly frustrated with the patch update that came out for it, and it really killed a lot of my interest in heisting or developing cool builds for heisting, or cool ways of going about it. Just because also now I'm just like, I don't really need to focus on getting crazy awesome gear on my heist members. If right now, like I was just testing it just before, I cleared 3 heists in a row where I literally clicked on every chest, and I had like one piece of gear on my guy that didn't really reduce much, and I was like, like this is it's just clicking the chests. That's just all it is. And I have some strong opinions now. I've people who were watching my stream earlier, it's kind of the first time that I've had these strong opinions about a Path of Exile league. Because I know the potential, I can see the potential there, and something can be really good, but it just feels like a Band-Aid patch. So there's the Badger rant, but yeah.
It does feel a bit like that, yeah. I mean, it makes so many systems redundant that before had a meaning. For example, as I said, the whole equipment system now makes way less sense, and there's way less mods that are actually useful. I mean, I guess they will eventually patch out the ones. If they don't do anything, just please patch them out. But I would prefer them to maybe revisit it again, the whole system, and like find a in between from what we have now and what we had before. But also there's the passives of the some of the rogues just makes no sense anymore.
Yes. Yeah.
If you can grab every chest and the loot in the end and get out, why would you have Isla, which has like 40% or 60% increased lockdown duration timer, which would really enable this, what I said earlier, the grab one more chest than you should, make a mad dash to the curio, grab it, and then go out. That playstyle basically isn't needed. And I think Tibbs and what's the other called? Niles, they both have you can open an extra chest on the way out, which I think was one of the nicest passes to have, because if there's like, oh, there's one more delirium, but I can't grab it because it's way too far from the end, so I can't do the mad dash technique, so I can open the door, okay, everything's set up, and then I go there, which is still an extra risk because doing it on lockdown is more difficult as well. I think it basically shows that this is not how the league was intended to be played. Yeah, and I'm actually surprised after what they did with Delirium, where they actually were like, no, we're doubling down. This is how we want this. We want this to be a bit oppressive. And I expected GGG to be the same with Heist and be like, no, we want this to be a bit more careful. We're not going backing down on that. I'm actually a bit disappointed in GGG that they did, because I feel they lost the league's identity with this. Yeah. So
agreed. Yes. I feel that, you know, it's one thing as well for us to be kind of frustrated about this and have a look at, you know, how this is. But the other thing that I like to look at in these situations as well is, well, what do we think could be options that they could have taken? Maybe it would have taken a little bit longer to get the patch out, but have you thought much about, you know, a way that they could change it? Because, you know, before, it still didn't feel exactly how the league felt, but I think it felt closer to what a heist should feel like. But if they were to, you know, improve that, rather than just like, you know, X is killing guards and, you know, X equals Y, which is raising the alert. Have you thought much about, like, you know, maybe a different mechanic that could work good there? I've got some thoughts on that, but that's just me.
I think there are like tons of ways that you could do it. You could have something where you kill guards and it increases the difficulty on the way out, for example. If like the more guards you kill or the higher your alert goes, the more guards spawn in the end. Like if you alert them more, they have more time to prepare basically, so they send more people earlier, making the way out more difficult. Or you could have spotting to increase the alert level, for example. I think there are a lot of options. I mean, I don't know if you have like, I don't personally don't have anything where I'm like, this is, I think, the best way, but I think they are definitely, I think both options we have seen so far are not cool to me. I didn't like the previous one. I like the previous one a bit better, but if you're someone who like, I hated the previous one, I rather, before I go back to what we had, I'd rather have no alert. I think that is a fine opinion to have. But I think most people, what I've seen on Reddit, I agree that the answer has to lie somewhere in the middle, maybe a bit closer to no killing, maybe a bit closer to you can kill a lot of stuff, but definitely not both extremes we had. I don't know, do you have like any idea where you're like, I think this is a super clever way?
Yeah, well, like, I think I'm in a similar boat there. Like, I've heard a few things tossed around and had a little bit of a thought myself. Like, it is very, very true that there has to be something in the middle there. Whether there's more of a focus on the patrols that you see moving around. You know, there's patrols that move around in certain directions. Sometimes they'll go in loops, or sometimes they'll go back and forth between a zone. I think more alert needs to be given to them and less alert to random guards or guards that continually spawn. You know, maybe even, you know, those patrols are the things that you really need to think about. Am I going to kill these to get through, or am I going to wait a little bit for them to move around? Then I can move past them, you know? I think weight needs to be on those patrols, because now it's just another pack of mobs. This whole cool mechanic of them actually, the first time we've really actually seen anything in Path of Exile like this, you know, a patrolling thing that what looks like we should pay attention to, and we should study its movement, at least, you know, figure out where it's going to go. I think something really needs to happen with those patrols, some form of that. And yeah, apart from that, something like, I don't know, maybe, you know, if guards see you, the alert level goes up, but if you kill those guards, the alert level can go down a little bit more. Not to the point of like it just goes down fully, but like you can either go through sneakily and have no alert level. You can go through guns blazing and have a little bit of level, but you have to clear every mob that's seen you, right? To bring the alert level down back a little bit. There's lots of ways, and this is coming from not a game designer. I'm not a game designer. This is just what I would think. So I'm just putting my hand up and saying I don't think I have the solutions. This is me just spitballing off the top of my head. But these are things that I think personally I would enjoy a little bit better. That makes sense. They probably would take a little bit more time to implement. It seems like this was a we need to do something now reaction from GGG, like some sort of knee-jerk reaction. They're just like, numbers aren't looking good maybe, or it was probably from a business perspective, the decision that they made, I would think, but again, we don't really know, but it is, by and large, a little bit disappointing. Yeah.
All right.
But
I think this time we're better at ending on an oof, so that's pretty good.
Yeah.
So for the first section, if you missed last podcast, we tried to really hard to end on a negative note.
We just couldn't.
Failed miserably, but maybe this time we have a chance.
Maybe this time we have a chance. Yes. All right. Let's hope. So, wait, no, hope is not good. We don't want to hope.
No, anyway. Let's be hopeless.
Hopeless.
Let's hopelessly transition to the next topic we wanted to talk about. Yeah. And with that, it was kind of like a bit more educational about like how do we heist and what do we think are good ways to go about planning your heist, maximizing rewards, which on the previous topic already, as we discussed, has changed quite a bit recently. So we are not super up to date. And a lot of things that you could previously or had to previously do to maximize, such as optimize the gear on your rows, does matter less now with the patch. So maximizing your reward chest number is barely a thing currently, but they said they want to revisit how many alert levels we generate from opening chests after they now killed the guard thing. So I can see them raising those alert levels, so you still have to pick and choose a bit more. But just between the chests. But yeah, we'll see. But we'll discuss what we know so far about Heist, and what we have done. And for the first thing, I would think, what are your favorite chests to open? You said you didn't get that many good things, but have you seen some good things that you maybe just opened the currency ones, or is there anything that stood out to you?
There were a couple of things that surprised me, and I really like to go into leagues quite blind, and especially at league start, I just don't really look at Reddit or anything like that for tips and tricks and all this kind of stuff, because I like to be surprised. So I'm actually fairly oblivious to some certain specific things about certain types of heists having certain types of loot and everything like that. But, I got a bit surprised when I opened a Harbinger chest, and I thought, it's going to drop a few shards and everything like that, and I just got 5 Harbinger orbs just flat, just like that. Not even shards. That was whoa, that's really cool. Just getting 5 Harbinger shards, sorry, not even shards, orbs, was really cool. Just that big lump sum there. Obviously, it's a crowd favorite, but currency chests are always going to be good. There's a bunch of chaos that drops from them, but they're not really exciting, I'll probably choose them over other things just because I'm this might help me purchase some gear. But if we come to grand heists, then I always get very, very excited, especially because I haven't fully been keeping up to date with all of the replicas that have been announced. I get very excited when I have a replica unique grand heist. Which I've only had one so far, and I had probably the worst selection. I can't even remember what I had, but it was that unnoteworthy that I don't remember what the replica uniques were. But those are always exciting. Even the alternate quality gems are very exciting to go well, am I going to get something really cool that might be good for my build? I'll get a cool alternate quality gem I can start to level up. So especially grand heists feel very, very exciting to open up and not know exactly what you're going to get.
They're a bit of a surprise bag type of thing, but mostly I think because we both did not really look into the rewards. I actually had a quick look on PoE Ninja earlier on the the replica unique pricings.
Yeah.
There's basically
I
2
that
are worth. There's 2 or 3 that are worth anything, and the rest is just 3 chaos.
Yeah.
So I think from a trade perspective, I don't think replica unique currently are what you want to do. still think there will be some Mathel effects once
Yes,
Mathel makes builds
definitely.
with these, so there will be some prizes rising.
And other streamers will make some. I'm sure there's going to be some broken combinations that people find during the league. It really, with the addition of all the replica uniques and all of the alternate quality gems, there will be some broken stuff that will come through, and that's going to be really cool to see happen. But yeah. What's your favorite stuff?
I actually think that the currency orbs chests are a bit of a bait. They are not as great. Like from what I've seen, of course you can find exalted orbs and whatever, but they're always weighted at the way they've always been. And I think they kind of went out of the way, from what I've noticed, to make the ones that normally people wouldn't open as much more rewarding, because the armor chests are actually super juicy.
See,
you have
maybe
a very
I'm
high
falling
chance.
trapped to this, because I see an armor chest or a weapon chest and I'm like, get it out of here.
Yep. But
so maybe I should open them. Yeah,
they have a very high chance to dropping multiple enchanted helmets. I had that several times, and also Überleben chance.
Oh wow, yeah, okay.
They can drop 30 quality bases, which is kind of neat, I guess, but not great. 5-link uniques are actually very common.
I have noticed that. I have like 4 or 5-link uniques. I'm like, what is with this?
Yep, same for weapons. They come from the weapon and armor chest, and early in the league, they can be worth something. And you also have a chance for 6-links, just like Legion had, where you can have a random 6-link happen. I think Blight has it as well. I think that's pretty good. I like Delirium a lot, especially from like a semi-SSF perspective. I did have some orbs. They can drop orbs. They can drop shards. And they can drop a lot of cluster jewels, which is, of course, like really nice as well.
Yeah.
From what I've seen, those are pretty good. You mentioned Harbinger. I think I also had pretty good amounts of Horizon orbs, which I always like early for Atlas progression. The unique ones, I only found like super low leveling uniques. I mean, of course, you can find like a high level unique with it, but they definitely can drop league specific ones, which is pretty cool.
Yes, they can. And like
a Gull, I think.
Pretty much all of them. I'll interject there as well, because I was thinking like, what's going to happen to the Heist uniques, and specifically the upgraded Harbinger uniques. And someone in my chat today while I was streaming dropped a Torrents Reclamation from one of those just unique chests, which is that upgraded Harbinger belt, which just gives crazy tailwind. And I was like, okay, that's really cool that that's in there, and they can be super rewarding. You know, that's going to be very, very sought after, those kinds of uniques. So I was pretty happy about that. So yeah, that's just made me want to open the unique ones even more now.
Yep. But yeah, overall, those are the ones that I've mostly been looking for. If you need like oils, Blight is not bad. Also, if you want to run Blighted Maps. The map chest is actually not bad. You get a lot of map type currency, and you actually get a decent amount of maps. I don't know if the map scaling works. Like, you know how in PoE sometimes if you find a map room, for example, a temple, it would just like drop tier 1 maps. Because I've mainly been running up to like level 72, 73-ish heists.
Yeah.
That doesn't work, but you find a lot of like the orb, the type currency. Like if you're lacking chisels or whatever early on, it's like really nice to like get some chisels.
The map scaling works with the level of heist that you're doing, but it doesn't follow your Atlas specifically.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you get like, if you're running tier 15 heists, you drop tier 15 maps, just not according to your Atlas.
Yeah, well, you can drop anywhere. Like, say, for example, you've got a full like 32 Watchstone Atlas, so you can only drop 14 to 16 maps. One of those will still drop a bunch of like tier 7 to 10 maps. Maybe you can drop some tier 14s to 16s as well. It doesn't follow your Atlas completely. However, like that's an interesting thing to bring up, the map rewards in Heists. They're very, very good. They drop a lot of maps. But a lot of people have been saying that the general consensus is that map drops in general this league have been really toned back. And I think that's the reason why. There's been a lot of races, pretty much all of the races in the hardcore SSF race to Cirrus have been saying that this just does not feel normal. Like, there's less maps being dropped. I think that's been tuned because the heists do drop so many maps. Maybe, or they just wanted to tune it back because they wanted people to grind the Atlas longer, which makes sense.
I've actually not noticed any.
You've not noticed,
to usually, but I'm only in like tier 7 maps, and tier 7 maps is usually not like the most difficult part to sustain. So maybe we'll get more noticeable in like tier 11, 12, 13.
I definitely noticed it from tier 8 to tier 11-ish, and above that. Like it really, really took a bit of a hit. But yeah, but then I'd just go into a few heists, and then I'd find a map chest room, and there's my pool again. Let's keep going. It was pretty good.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know. That's good
Yeah,
to know.
yeah.
So should I run into troubles sustaining maps? I'll just like
if you're running heists consistently, you're not going to run into troubles.
Yep.
But if you
Now, I've
just
not
want
really
to keep
been-
mapping, then yeah.
Yeah, I've not really been targeting the map chests, so yeah,
Yeah.
it kind of would make sense. So if I run into trouble, I can definitely start targeting them, because you can actually, if you don't know, you can actually target your heist rewards, because which chest spawn is tied to which skill of rogue is needed for the
Yes.
for the heist. So if
And
you're
this is
running a
something I only
contract, for
learned today,
example,
so yeah, it's still
if you're
kind of new to
running-
me.
Yeah, in the beginning I was like kind of like, okay, am I making this up or is this actually a thing? And I ran like quite a few like thaumaturgy ones, I think, and I was like, okay, this is like always like gems and jewelry, and I started to like write a list myself. And I think today there was like a big Reddit post, or like yesterday, where people posted like, yeah, by the way, we figured out this is how it works.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I'll,
I
like,
didn't
maybe,
even
like,
think about that, honestly. Like, because, yeah, I haven't been looking on Reddit, and it wasn't until, like, halfway through my stream today that, like, someone said, oh, yeah, they're targetable. And I'm like, oh, yeah, of course, that makes sense. That's something that would make sense, yeah. But I just didn't even think about it, so that's going to really change how I play the game now, yeah. Yeah.
And I think it's like a really cool thing, because I always love that about Betrayal, that you can, especially as SSF wise, but also in trade, you can target something. Like if you want a specific unique, you just run like engineering, for example. I think engineering is maps and uniques. So you just like run engineering over and over, sustain your map pool apparently now, and find some leveling uniques, whatever you might need.
So there's a good tip for everyone. If you're running low on maps, just run those engineering heists. Get those maps right back. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, so I think that's a cool thing. I think the trap one is the most widespread one, and that has Legion in there, because normally targeting Legion for those early timeless keystones is pretty nice, but I think it shares with, like, now I have to look up my list. It's Abyss, Legion, Talisman, and Breach in one. And Breach is kind of nice because it gives you a lot of splinters, which can also be nice early, but it's not that great. Talisman is Talisman. And then Abyss is also not too cool, because you can get the occasional Abyss unique and Stygian Vise, but it's mostly the jewels, which are not that crazy. So it's basically I think it's there to water down the Legion rewards, so you can't target them as hard as you can, for example, in the Temple of Atsuatl.
Definitely makes a lot of sense.
That's my take here.
I do agree with that. There was careful thought there. There was careful thought. Yeah, but it's really cool that you can target them and everything like that, and that's gonna, there's gonna be a whole market that comes out of that, and it's probably already starting to develop on trade leagues and everything like that. But the cool thing for SSF as well, that like, oh, okay, I'll drop an engineer map, and that's really going to help with my map sustain. That's pretty cool. I really like
especially
that.
Because you can buy contracts from the barber. You can actually target them quite a bit better than you normally would just from drops. So you can just like pick up all the ones that you want.
If I'm correct, that's the same kind of thing with Zana. Like per level that you go up, it gets refreshed. I don't know if it gets refreshed any other way. Maybe it's like per grand heist you run. I don't know. No, probably not.
I think it is per grand heist, because I think it refreshed at least one. I haven't really figured that out, but I believe it is per grand heist. It also refreshes, but I'm not 100% on that. It definitely refreshes like every vendor in the game per level.
Yeah.
And Zana refreshes with daily, so it kind of would make sense with grand heist.
Yeah, maybe it's daily as well. Yeah, true. Yeah.
All right, so we have that covered. What else? What's your favorite rogue? Like just story wise and then gameplay wise.
I just love Tibbs,
the giant.
Yeah, the giant.
Yeah.
I don't know. I love his backstory. I love everything about him. He's just big and fun and lovable. I don't know. I just really like those kind of characters in any sort of game. I think he's really cool. But I think I've only just unlocked the last person that I can't even remember the name of now. I've only just unlocked all...
the actress.
I think I unlocked her before this last one.
Because there's not a set order. It depends on who you run heist with. There's Vindiri, but I think Vindiri unlocks Gianna if you run with Vindiri. Did you maybe unlock Nennet last?
Nennet, that was the one.
Slightly depressed, very quiet observer.
Correct. Yeah. And I'm not like this is my brain of like just kind of like doing the content, not fully paying attention to all of the lore and everything like that. I really need to get into it. That's why I'm kind of like, what are their names? I can't quite remember.
It's super worth it, by the way.
Oh yeah, I need to just do like one day just fully involving myself in the lore. I need to go through it all. So yeah, but I really like Tibbs. He's so cool. What about yours?
Yeah, I think Tibbs is from like a character writing perspective. He's like super cool, but he's a very stereotypical like the like I don't know, giant with like a heart, like the
with
calm,
a soft heart,
with the soft heart, calm giant with the soft heart, yeah. But he's like really well written, and he does have like his moments, and his backstory is kind of like a bit heart wrenching and really really cool. I think Nenit is kind of growing on me because she's a bit more mysterious and a bit more like difficult to like understand what she's all about. Tolina is really like has her comedic moments as well, because she's like very tough. Like tries to be like very tough because it seems like she's always had to like because she's like this like good looking woman trying to be like in the bad guy neighborhood. She always had to like really act tough up front, and then once you get into her backstory with like the wedding and all that kind of stuff, she's like she actually isn't like that. She just feels like she has to do that because she's like otherwise she would get bullied around, which is like there's like so much depth to these characters, and like most of them have a backstory like this. So I think those are like really cool. But I love Vindiri for like the comedic value. He's pretty hilarious. It's like
pretty hilarious.
This like old detonation
So
explosive
good.
expert who's like completely blasted his brain with chemicals. As a chemist, I can relate to that. So it's
so good.
He's hilarious.
And just like props to the entire writing team, especially those moments where you're coming out of like maybe one of the green contracts or something like that, the story-based contracts, and the characters are all talking to each other. You know, like there's conversation amongst each other that, you know, if you just stop and listen to it, it's like really in depth and also very funny at times. Like it's from a character point of view and a lore point of view and a world building point of view, this is just like spot on. This is really what we want, and that's why, you know, it makes me a little bit more excited for Path of Exile 2 as well, because I think that kind of effort is going to be put in every single aspect of Path of Exile 2. Hopefully. Knock on wood.
I feel like for me it almost feels like kind of like bestiary open up a new generation of leagues, kind of in the gameplay department. I feel like maybe Heist actually started a new generation of leagues in the polish and production value department. Not the gameplay wise, it's still the same level as we had before with like involvement and stuff, but from a production value and like character writing, also the NPC design, like how they look, I think that's really really cool, and way better than anything we've seen before. Maybe excluding Betrayal, because that was, I mean, it's better than Betrayal in like writing and whatever, and more deep, but Betrayal was at its time like way above the level as well. So maybe we could dip down again. I think that's still a possibility. But I also cross my fingers that we'll stay at this level from this point on when it comes to NPCs, and the PoE2 will keep that as well.
Hopefully, No, I think it's really great. And, you know, again, you know, that's despite the issues that we've had with the league. If we, you know, put them to the side, it's just been a really well-written league and everything like that, which is super, super cool.
But on the topic of rogues, any ones that you prefer taking on missions, like now after the patch? Like before it was basically reduce alert meter as much as you can, but now I think you actually have different options that you might want to take.
Look, for me, like it's I think right now Huck's pretty good to take on missions. I actually, like, I still can't match. Again, this is just my speed brain going through. I still can't match the names to them. Anyway, the ones
just
that
call him
give
the
you
warrior
a chance,
guy, the engineering person.
The one that gives you a chance to get like double rewards from something.
Yeah, the explosive, the old guy.
Yeah,
it's the crazy dude. Yeah, he's now is actually good because he also increases alert level.
Yes.
And before that was like not
exactly.
worth most of the time.
Yeah. And then there's a couple of other people as well that I do prefer as well, just because they have higher level so I can equip higher level gear on them and everything like that, so I can actually bring them in. And again, names. It was the lockpicking dude, I think.
Karst?
Karst, that's the one. Yeah, I was Heist.
How do I know all these names? I don't have. By the way, I don't have anything on here.
Yeah,
I actually remember the names.
My
just
brain
from the
is
story.
notoriously bad for remembering names through my entire life. Anyway, so it's both compounding of my speeding through Path of Exile and not paying attention to lore, and then also not really being able to remember names. Those are two things together. It's like, oh no, this league is a nightmare for me in that regard. But no, I love it, and I need to invest myself more into it. But yeah, Karst is great, just because like I have really high levels on him, and I can't remember even his main ability, but I think it's pretty good. Anyway, yeah. there's my very vague answer to your question, Yoji.
I learned a lot from this. It's very insightful. Thank you very much for this. Moving on to a different topic that maybe Badger knows something about.
Yeah.
No, like planning Grand Heist, I think, just to go like quickly back to it, because maybe I can add a bit more. I think it's mostly about like maximizing your composition of rogues, because you get to pick 3 rogues per wing, and you can actually like equip them with different items. They're like rogue items that give you reward specific extra bonuses as well, so you can like try to min-max getting like putting them into the right wings and like, in right combinations as well. For example, if you put Vindiri, who increases rewards and alert level, you kind of want to put him, for example, with Talina, if that's an option, if there's one of her perks in there as well. Yeah. So you can, because she has I think 12 or 15% reduced alert level generation, so you don't blow, even like currently with just Vindiri and no other reductions, I think you sometimes can still blow your alert meter before you actually get all the rewards. Yeah. Or if on the other hand, you can also put the strategy of taking Tibbs and Niles both can open an extra chest. So if you can open, let's say, 3 out of the 4 chests of the wing without blowing your alert, you can then go back once the lockdown happens. So I think that's kind of like what you can do, and also like optimize the gear rolls to fit with each other.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's kind of like how I plan it.
Yeah. There's and I'm fairly certain as well that, and you know, I could be wrong here, so I don't want to spread false information, but I think about 90% sure that if you, because you can I guess employ or take the same NPC and they do a bunch of different roles, like, you know, lockpicking and demolition and that sort of thing. I think that if you stack the same NPC up there, gear kind of also is additive to that. So say that you've got a person with, you know, a pretty nice amulet that has 16% reduced alert level on it or something like that. Then if you've got them in 2 different roles in the same wing, they will kind of compound together, kind of double up. And I actually saw a couple of videos on people saying that that's how it does work. I think Grimro did a video on that, and I trust his... I think it was Grimro. I trust his opinion. But I haven't fully confirmed that, so yeah.
So you can put the same person on 2 roles in the same wing?
Yes.
Or you mean like, okay, I didn't actually try that out, because I'm currently trying to like evenly level all my rows. So I never actually try to do that, because I don't want to have one maxed out, but I want to max out all the stats at the same time. So yeah, it kind of makes sense.
Yeah. So you can, you know, what you can do is just like get one rogue like fully geared up and, you know, have them do all 3 parts of one wing, you know, if they've got like, you know, level 3 in each of them, and you can do it or whatever. But on the topic of grand heists and preparing for them as well specifically, I tend to always look for the escape routes early, especially because how dangerous the mobs are. They feel even more dangerous in grand heists, and you really don't want to lose that loot. So if you can get an escape route close to where the curio display is, that's just 100% invest the coins in there, especially because it's cheaper than everything else. It's usually around like 300 coins to reveal an escape room, and it's around 700 or 800 to reveal any other smaller room. So it's just 100% worth the coin investment. Yeah,
100% agree, because it doesn't add any value to your heist, but it's kind of like your insurance policy that you can get out easier.
Pretty much.
Because if you actually get something like, let's say you get that replica nebulous, at that point you will be happy that you unlocked the exit right next to it, and you don't have to run through the whole thing sweating your hands off. Just say.
And it just for anyone that is still unsure, Alt F4 in the game after you pick up a good piece of loot is not going to let it survive. It's not just like if you die you keep it. It's just you have to basically hit one of those escape routes to keep that gear. So don't pick up an Alt Nebulous and then just Alt F4 and be like, yes, I've got it. It's secure. It will drop. So yeah. But that's the other big thing about party play. Like party play is really, really great, especially going into these grand heists. If you can party with someone that, you know, you trust and everything like that, if you potentially die, they can pick up the loot and bring it back out, which is really, really nice. So that's another thing as well, which I'd like to play solo. I'm not going to be doing that, but for other people, party play is really, really good in heists, which is so cool. So cool.
Yeah, it's nice to have a party-friendly league after having a non-party-friendly league.
Yes.
So the party people get to play.
Party-friendly, yeah.
Yeah. Talking about the contraband system, there's like this contraband cheesing that you can do. I don't know if you know about that.
Oh, okay, I'm not aware of this.
If you go into a heist, let's say you go in, open your first chest, Exalted Orb.
Mm-hmm.
You know what you can do? You can pick it up, leave the heist into the pre-heist, the preparation room, like before you enter.
Uncontraband it?
It will uncontraband all your inventory.
Uh-huh.
And then the heist is still going, so you can go back in and then do the rest of the heist with the Exalted Orb saved already. So you don't have to actually sacrifice your heist completely, which I don't know if it's intended. I don't think it's good to have in there, because I think if you decide...
Yeah.
I think if you... The problem is, at that point, because if you die on your way in, you can always re-enter, right? You have infinite portals. Or if you disconnect as well, you can always re-enter as well.
Well, unless it bugs out.
Unless it bugs out,
There's been some things with that, but yes, yeah. That's the
But it's intended that if you grab, let's say you grab like lots of loot on your way in, you have like a full inventory and you disconnect, it drops all your loot, but you can always go back in, pick it back up, and then finish the heist. And I think that's still intended. I think that's also fair. The intention was that only during lockdown you lose everything and the heist.
I think that's very fair.
Does make sense.
Yeah.
But it enables this kind of like loot scumming, which is a bit feels. I mean, it does take more time but if you find something valuable, you basically don't lose anything. I mean, I guess if let's say you find like a mirror, a hat, or whatever, even if you would lose the grand heist, you would just go out. There's no grand heist worth more than that, so that makes sense. But even if you find something like somewhat valuable, you can scum out of it.
Yeah.
But if you want to cheese the heist, here's your information.
True.
If you didn't know that.
that's there for everyone.
Just so you know that you can do that.
That's very true. It feels kind of. Yeah, it does feel kind of cheesy, but I do know that if I get in that situation and I drop an Exalted really early, now with that information, I'm going to do that. Like, if I have the option to do that, I'm going to do it. But I think, I think if that option was not there, I think that would feel better. If we can solve all of the crashes and everything like that, you know, all of that kind of stuff, then, I think that needs to be there to still have that... You know, there's got to be that risk reward of escaping once you get to the end. Yeah.
Right. Well, we're basically already in the topic of like points of contention that people might have about the league. What do you think about the enemy formations that go on the doorways? They've also been nerfed a bit, so they are not like 6-7 rares stacking up anymore. I think they're like now more like 2 to 3. If you take more time, I think they still stack up a bit, but it's not. You arrive at a door and there's like this death. A squad of rares like basically waiting to kill you. What do you think about that? Do you have any problems with this? Do you think it's unfair?
No problems whatsoever. And you know, this is another thing that I'm kind of just like, you can see that there. Like, you can see them, you can hear them. They say like, you know, formation or like guard ready or something like that. You can see them, you can hear them. You're prepared for them. In my eyes, and you know, I might be being a bit harsh there, but if you die to a barrage there, it's because you just stepped in the door and just like walked forward. I was testing it a little bit. You can kind of just go out in front of the door and quickly go back, like quickly to, you know, they'll do an initial burst and then you can jump through and you can start fighting them. You can flame dash through past them or dash through them and past them, because they will target the spot. There's a specific spot right at the door that they'll target, that they'll just like throw everything at. So you can play around that, you know, like I had no problem with it because I was like, I could see, you know, what was happening. And if I died to that, I knew it was my fault because I was being greedy and I was just like, you know, I'll just run in and just like stand there and try to combat their fire back. That being said, it was a little bit overtuned before the patch. It was, but the core mechanic of it, I don't have any problem with. I think it's in a really good spot now.
I mostly agree. I think it's dying to this feels the same as dying to like a telegraph shape or slam. Whenever I died to it, I felt like I stepped into it, or maybe I missed it, or I was rushing and I didn't see it, or mistimed my dash, or whatever. Whenever I died to this, I felt like it was completely valid and fair. Except for when there's allies cannot die stuff in there, which makes it really hard to get in there. I think that's like the one thing I think a lot of people have complained about.
True.
And maybe before I think it was maybe a bit overtuned, but I think mostly if I would step into the door right now with like the current stacking of mobs, I would probably still get one shot. Before I would maybe get one shot harder.
Yes,
I don't know.
harder and quicker.
I don't think it would be that much of a difference. But yeah, I think tuning it down a bit so that the formation is easier to break, I think is fair. I also do not have a problem with the actual mechanic because it feels like a telegraphed slam, like on a boss, more than I run in randomly die. There's still enough run in and randomly die in Heist and in PoE in general. We're like, la 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 la.
We're not going to be avoiding that in PoE. It's going to be there.
I hope at some point maybe we will, but not anytime soon.
Yes, true. Not right now, though. Yeah.
So I'm kind of like on the same, but the allies cannot die. I mean, they could remove them from Heist. If it was for me, they can also remove them from the game. If not for the gameplay being a bit weird, the performance is still an issue with this. If you hit like a huge pack with like a piercing lightning arrow or whatever, you just like still almost crash or I don't know. I think, but in Heist it's especially bad because if the front row can't die, you can't get them to like break formation. It can be difficult, but still you can dash through, as you said. But it's the more risky move. The bait
is the
out
risky
a bit
move. Although like if like I found like it's almost, well, you know, I play on softcore, so you know I can afford to take those mistakes, but it's like a 99% chance that as soon as the door opens, you just flame dash like actually into the middle of the pack. They just will not attack you. They'll attack where you were, and then you can run behind them and kill them or something like that. Or if you're melee, you can just leap slam into there, you can dash into there and then just, blow them up while they're targeting where you used to be. And the other big thing is the one skill that doesn't have much function anywhere else is actually really, really, really good in Heists is Void Sphere, the new skill. Door opens up. You can
going to say conversion trap.
Oh, conversion trap. Oh, I haven't tested that. Maybe conversion trap would be really cool. But on Void Sphere, you can just have it in a one link on literally any build, and you can just put that, and it kind of just disrupts their formation, sucks them in, and it's really, really helpful. It's really, really good. I haven't personally been using it because I just a gung ho playstyle I have, kill or be killed. But you don't have to be a spellcaster to use that as just a crowd dispersion spell. It's really, really helpful. Yeah. But that's actually a super good point, Yoji. I'm actually going to test conversion trap after this. 'Cause
5 head.
Yeah, that's a huge play. Yeah.
Yes. That's good. That's good. Yeah, I don't know. I think the Void Sphere is actually a pretty good strat. Yeah, I mean that's what it was intended for. It is a crowd control spell for these situations. I use my flame wall. I usually, whenever the door opens, I put the flame wall right in front at the door, so anything that comes rushing through basically just dies.
Yeah,
and then I shoot my firebolts in. I was wondering what I would do if I was like name lock melee.
Yeah.
But then that's a question that you have a lot of times in PoE. What would I do if I was name lock melee?
Yeah.
Reroll, I guess.
Yeah, you wouldn't play name lock melee.
Especially if you're not losing dash. I mean, then you're kind of like using leap slam, because during leap slam you can be targeted during the slam,
and it's a lot slower unless you have crazy attack speed. And
I guess if you're playing slams, I mean, as a discharge you still have to go. So you mostly dash through, I guess, and discharge the back line.
Exactly. I was playing discharge, which is actually a fairly melee playstyle. The area is pretty big, but I would literally just dash into the middle of the pack. They would attack where I was, and then I'd discharge. And that would be pretty much fine 99% of the time. So yeah.
All right, yeah. Because I'm just like standing there. I'm ranged fireball. Yeah. So I just put flame wall at the door, shoot fireballs through. Then the prolift kills like most of the stuff, and then I just like run in and like, oh, everyone's already dead.
Yeah,
cool. That does work.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Anything else we have? I'm just looking at the talking points. For the show. That's like we have like this points of contention. How do you feel about the general difficulty level of Heists? Just like wondering.
Yeah, I think the general difficulty level is high risk, high reward, and that's really good from a league reward. Like, that's as succinct as I can be. High risk, high reward. And, well, with that extra cheesing strat, I don't think there's as much risk for certain things. But popping that curio display and the mad rush out feels dangerous, and that should stay feeling dangerous.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that's basically it for me, yeah.
One thing that I have to add, I felt like during leveling was a bit steep in the beginning. My first few heists were way more difficult than my maps or the acts at that point. And then it kind of evened out during like tier 5-ish maps, where the heists kind of like evened out with, as my build got better maybe as well, but also the content kind of evened out a bit. So like there's a bit of a wonky progression early. But yeah, overall, pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, anything else? On death effects, we can't leave without talking about. There are on death effects in heists. Did you know? They're like these robots, for example, who just like linger and then they go like.
It's just at this point, GGG is laughing at us, with every league introducing more and more on death effects with all of the mechanics. I'm not the biggest fan of on death mechanics in general, unless they're very telegraphed, both visually and audibly. They need to have both of those telegraphed very well. And what does a good job at that is the volatile blood mobs in maps. You can very easily see the orb that's following you, and you can hear that orb quite well as well, even amongst a lot of other stuff going on. I've found, at least. With everything going on in heists, especially all of the robots and everything like that, there's a lot of particle effects that the mobs throw out, and it's really hard to see on the floor, especially in the darker heists, especially in the laboratory heists. There's so much green and red and everything there, and glowing parts, and those on death effects, they're hard to see, and it's really rough. Yeah.
There aren't that many on death effects, I think, in the lab. I think it's mostly the robots are definitely have a lot of them.
Yes. Yep.
And what I found dangerous in the laboratory is the big ooze blobs that they shoot at you, like the slow moving ooze blobs when you get hit by them. And I think that's actually a cool change, because I always found it weird. And you know the slow moving blob in Delve that has like these humongous explosions and deals absolutely zero damage.
Yeah,
I always felt that was weird, and I really like that the super slow moving atomic explosion actually does damage now.
It's good, isn't it? Yeah.
So but yeah, on death effects, I don't think I ever died to an on death effect and was like, well, I guess I deserve that. Most like,
so it's like,
usually my reaction is not
that's
like
what killed me.
Not even. It's not even like. It's most like what killed me, or you got me there. It's mostly like it feels like the developers would be looking at this and be like, hey, gotcha. It doesn't.
I can imagine.
It just doesn't feel good, man. It just doesn't feel good.
They put them there just to watch the clips post-launch. I'm sure of it.
Yeah.
I'm sure of it. Yeah.
But I think they're better and worse on death effects, but maybe they'll like fine-tune them like the later ones. I still have hope.
Yeah.
Like in general, I think my consensus for like all of Heist League so far is I still have hope.
Yes.
And I enjoy the core concept, which is I think is good. I don't know.
Oh yeah, totally.
That matches up with what you do.
Yes. Yeah. It's the whole core concept is I don't know. On death effects it's a very contentious topic. We could go on more and more about it, and it's something that is good if done perfectly and terrible if done anything less than perfectly.
It's hard to do correctly. Yeah, it's hard to do right.
It's very hard to do right. Yeah.
But they've done it before, and I hope they can like fix some of them again.
Yeah, definitely.
All right.
Yeah. I think that's kind of. I think we covered pretty much everything that we wanted to cover there. Yeah.
Yep. I think we looted all the chests, got all the contraband.
Yeah. And we will be escaping with this. Yeah, we got to get out. Yep. We really got to get out because like the guards are coming. So thank you so much for watching or listening, everyone. Just a couple of notes at the end that I like to put always there. If you're watching live at the moment and you came halfway through, this podcast does get uploaded on Yoji's YouTube channel every single week, at the maximum 24 hours after the actual live event. And then from there as well, it is on all major podcasting applications. You can listen to just the audio. And the audio, I gotta say, we're getting it pretty crisp, and it sounds pretty nice now. So if you're listening on the audio and you can hear this lovely, lovely voice coming through, then thank you for listening on the podcast. But yeah, go and favorite that podcast as well. You can listen to it on your way to work if you are going to work, or while you're doing workout, or while you're playing Path of Exile. Having something audio in the background, that's freaking awesome as well. So thank you so much for coming, everyone. Same time, same place next week. We'll have another episode with potentially a surprise guest. We are trying to line up a guest for next week, so there will be more than 2 people next time.
So if there's not more than 2 people next time, everyone hates us and no one wants to come on this podcast.
Yeah, exactly. We've just been isolated from the rest of the Path of Exile community. So, yeah. And we will be chatting just a little bit after the this episode is finished, just on the live stream, but not very much. I probably need to go as well and get some rest, so maybe like 5 minutes of chat if people want to stay around on the live stream. But that's all we really have to say. So until next time, stay sane, exiles.
What he said. We messed that up.